restrained, or restless, sitting still and concentrating, speculating on what needs to be corrected to improve things for yourself and all of humanity, the pressure to challenge authority, jumping the gun and taking action before all the facts are in place. These are all pressures that this cycle of the human design weather for June 24th to 30th, 2025 will bring. Hello, hello. I'm Margot Fraser, your guide through the cosmic weather as a certified human design professional and intuitive coach. I'm on a mission to help you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. So we're going to be getting into the weather just to support your awareness so that you can really notice the effects that may be playing out around you, but rather than you reacting and being pulled off track, this awareness can really empower you to navigate the cycle, staying true to your authentic nature and take advantage of opportunities when correct for you. So let's dig into the weather for this cycle. It's a shorter one. We only have one channel being created by the moon. So we'll talk about the sun earth positions. That's 70% of the conditioning field coming in. Just briefly go into that channel. A little bit of information on the long-term transits, and we'll be able to wrap it up for this one. This cycle starts on June 24th at 10:09 p.m., going until June 30th at 7:39 p.m. That's Mountain Daylight Time. Universal Time Coordinates, it's starting June 25th at 4:09 a.m., going until July 1st at 1:39 a.m. Remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. This cycle, we have two collective logic traits that are being activated in the Sun-Earth positions. We haven't seen logic for a while, so this is going to bring an underlying theme of impersonal sharing of patterns and formula to carry us into the future. Logic is always looking for those stable patterns that allow you to know, oh, if I do A, B, and C, I'm going to get a certain result. There's a security in that. Both of these traits are in the root center, the bottom square in the chart, which is both a motor and a pressure center that brings the adrenalized drive. So this motorized, adrenalized energy is pushing upward here. The sun has moved into gate 52, the trait of inaction and keeping still. Its keynote says temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. It's part of the channel of concentration. This is about sitting still and focusing and channeling energy. Here, the adrenalized drive is the fuel for being passive rather than active. All of the other traits in the root, it's about doing something, getting into action. But here the action per se is sitting still. It's inaction. So we sometimes call this the Buddha gate. Mechanically, it can bring stillness in a way that can seem antisocial, as that lack of active energy can lead to withdrawal. Now, this is actually a plus in this situation because concentration benefits from withdrawal, right? If you're trying to concentrate on something, often you want people around you, just get out of the way, leave me alone. I just need to sit and concentrate on this and get it done. However, if you don't have the electromagnetic gate 9, the trait of focus in the sacral center, there could be a lack of focus that then leads to tension. So rather than this keeping still and being able to focus, yes, the energy is saying keep still, but what do I focus on? So there could actually be some restlessness, maybe a feeling of just being down, I don't know what to focus on here. This kind of agitation that comes in. So be patient if that's the case. As you're out and about, you'll likely move through the aura of someone who has that gate 9 that will bring in that frequency of focus. This trait points at the sacral center. That's where that gate 9 is. So it brings the pressure to work on something to put your vital energy into. That sacral center is a motor that generates life force energy or vital energy. Ultimately, logic is trying to prove or disprove a theory or a formula, some kind of pattern through experimenting. And that requires concentration and focus. If you have gate 9 without the 52, you have the focus, but usually it's hard to keep still. Well, this could be a really nice cycle for you. You're going to have that complete channel being formed and have that opportunity to bring that stillness so that you can use that focus in the way that's correct for you according to your own strategy and authority. The Earth has moved into gate 58, the gate of aliveness. It's also called the Joyous. Its keynote says, stimulation is the key to joy. Where gate 52 that we just talked about, the sun's position, provides the energy to sit still and concentrate, the 58 provides the energy to actually do the experimenting, to challenge what's currently accepted, what's the status quo, but it's not working. It's the energy to start the process of finding a better way, a better pattern. It's quite the process to experiment, to repeat and refine over and over again. So there fundamentally needs to be this joyousness, this aliveness, this love of life itself, to be able to have that stick with itness with the repetition and the practice necessary to find that best recipe, so to speak, or to master a talent. This energy also leads up to developing our talents. We have to be critical of ourselves in a constructive way, keep up with the practice and the refinement towards mastery. Ultimately, logic wants to serve humanity by bettering society through finding those better patterns, those better formula and ways and methods that will help everyone. And a part of that includes challenging what's existing. So it brings the energy to challenge authority, to challenge the status quo. Now, this is not in an awareness center. The awareness of what's not working, what needs to be corrected, is in gate 18 in the splenic center. It's the electromagnetic that it's pointing at. The splenic center is our most primal awareness center. That's about survival, health, and well-being. So gate 58 on its own is not going to be clear on what needs to be challenged. It just brings the energy to do it. So at this point, it's all speculation. And one of the cautions to watch here is that there could be this general kind of challenging nature just because the energy's there without waiting to get that clarity from the gate 18. And once again, if you don't have gate 18 in your own chart, as you're out and about, you'll pass through the auras of people that do have that, and that's going to help bring in that clarity of, this specifically is the thing to challenge. This is what's not working. Otherwise, it's just, that's not working, without having that clarity. The splenic center is an awareness center that's correlated to the immune system. So if you use this gate 58 energy in a correct way, waiting for that awareness of the gate 18 to come in and following your own strategy and authority, it can really support your immune system, your health. If you don't wait and jump into things too fast or spread yourself too thin, out of lack of that clear awareness, you can impair your immune system. So something to watch there. When we look at these two traits together, they could bring the ability to sit still, to be patient. And once it's clear what to focus on and what needs correction, this energy can really be used to concentrate on that. Or it could bring restlessness, jumping to conclusions that has you putting your energy into trying to make something better in an uninformed way, or putting energy into something that's just simply not correct for you to even be engaging with in the first place. So once again, it comes back, make sure you're checking in with your own strategy and authority. There could be this real being of service or not. Ultimately, that's the goal of the logic circuitry. Okay, let's move into our channels now. Again, it's just one for this cycle. A reminder, when the transit field creates a channel, everyone that doesn't already have it in their chart is receiving activation of the related traits and qualities. So brings quite a big impact. Again, just one channel being created by the transit of the moon, so it doesn't have a lot of impact for the cycle. It's just a little taster, and that's because the moon only activates a gate or a trait for about 10 or 11 hours, give or take. This channel starts on June 30th at 3:07 a.m., going until 1:54 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC is coming in June 30th at 9:07 a.m., going until 7:54 p.m. The moon's moving into gate 64, the trait of confusion in the head center, with its pressure to think, and in this case, to make sense of experience. It's not making sense. It's not the realizations. It's the pressure to make sense. It's connecting with gate 47, the trait of oppression and realization in the Ajna center, being activated by the south node of the moon. Together, they create the channel of abstraction, a design of mental activity mixed with clarity. So the 64 is bringing in the pressure to make sense. And in this channel, it's going through the process to have those realizations. So this is a collective abstract channel bringing that mental pressure to make sense by putting the puzzle pieces together to determine how an experience fits into the movie of your life. It's quite a tough process, and it takes time to get that clarity and then get those ahas, get the lessons and the wisdom, which is why gate 47 is both called oppression and realization. Both those things are present there. As the keynote says, it brings a busy mind and a reminder that any decisions that you make should be from your strategy and authority, not from your mind. So those ahas, when they get expressed out, they can support others, but most of the time, it's not anything for you personally to do anything about. All right, that brings us to our long-term transits. The long-term transits are created by the outer planets and the nodes of the moon. They're with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases, so your not self mind can start to think that they're part of you, even when it's not something that you have in your own design. Our longest term transits, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn, are all in the same gates and lines as the last cycle. So I'm going to put my attention this time on the changes of lines for the nodes and the gate change for Jupiter. We have the nodes of the moon sitting in gates 22 and 47. Gate 22 is the gate of grace or disgrace. It's the gate of openness or closeness, and it's in the emotional center. Gate 47 is the one we just talked about in the Ajna center. It's the gate of oppression or realization. So we could, when we look at these two together, just as general themes, be bringing grace to allow realization. We could have disgrace that brings oppression. So those are just general ways that you can weave those keynotes together. Now, these are moving from line 6 into line 5. That actually happened just before this cycle started. So gate 22, that gate of grace or disgrace, it's moved into line 5 now, called directness. It has a developmental theme that says the disregard of form when required. Now, line 5 is the full expression of whatever that gate theme is. So the exaltation says the power inherent in higher principles to successfully transgress behavioral codes, the possibility through emotional awareness to behave individualistically in social interaction. So here's that full expression of the trait to bring through some kind of mutation. This is individual. It's always about bringing through something new. In this case, to social interaction, just by being one's unique self. The detriment says a tendency to create embarrassing situations, and though invariably successful, the often resulting reputation for crudity and impudence. The possibility that individual behavior in social interaction will generate negative projections from others. So yes, it brings through mutation, it brings through something new, but not in a way that enhances social interaction. Okay, we can expect to see these graceful and disgraceful expressions and traits play out in the world in a greater way. Gate 47, the trait of realization and oppression in the ajna, it was in line 6 called futility. And I made a point of talking about that last time because that really brings in a frequency of mental hopelessness to the field. And there was no exaltation for that particular trait. So good to see this move out. Now it's moved into line 5, which is called the saint and has no detriment. It's only an exaltation. So it says the gift in times of oppression to maintain without hypocrisy a harmonic relationship with one's oppressors while providing aid and succor, it's assistance, to the oppressed. Realization at its most exalted. Acceptance of the weight of the abstract process and the grace that naturally follows. So nice combination that we've got the gate of grace being activated and we're bringing grace to this process of the abstract. Here we have this environment where there's an understanding. This is what it brings that, yeah, life can be confusing. And it can be hard to make sense of things, but it's okay. We can help those who are confused and unable to find the sense in what's going on around them, those who can't see a way to move through to the other side. So the oppressors here are the ones that are bringing the confusion, bringing the pressure to make sense of things. And this really brings a positive energy, a positive frequency to this that, yeah, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy for us to make sense of life sometimes. Bring grace to that. We'll be able to make it through to the other side. Jupiter's been sitting in the gate of extremes, and that's also the gate of love or hate of humanity. But on June 26th, it's going to move into gate 52, the trait of inaction, which is our sun's position. So it's going to be bringing an extra emphasis to this trait of keeping still. It's going to be in line 1 called think before you speak. This is logic. Do you have the facts? Wait, be still, prepare to focus and examine the situation. In its detriment, the polarity that plays out says speaking first and living with the consequences afterwards. Energy that cannot be stilled. Remember, the polarities always play out. Jupiter brings an expansion. So there could be an expansion of this ability to wait to speak, to being still. Or there could be an expansion of speaking without having the facts in place and suffering the repercussions. Remember that logic's collective, and in the collective, we do tend to see the detriments of these transits play out. So there could be this expansion of people just saying things when they don't have the facts. So it's going to be up to you, to each of us as individuals, to do our own due diligence. Collectively, in the big picture, for humanity, perhaps there'll be the opportunity for instance, some ceasefires in the wars that are playing out as that gate of inaction comes in and gets expanded by Jupiter. Fingers crossed. The question will be whether we can sit, whether as humanity we can sit with the pressure of the root and not jump the gun, so that the healing potential that gate 25 position, that's where Saturn and Neptune are sitting, so that healing can begin. Remember that any of these traits, if you don't have them in your own design, it's just pressure from the transit field. You can observe it playing out around you, you can learn from it, but whether there's actually something for you to do with it is according to your own strategy and authority, rather than having it puppet you or run you. That brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you want to understand the basics of the chart, what's the black and the red about, the different geometric shapes, a little bit on the background of the system itself, feel free to grab my free Human Design Basics mini course. It's at margotfraser.com/human-design. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would be very grateful if you could give it a like and consider subscribing. All right, we have a shift this cycle to bring in more logic to the overall transit field from the dominant, abstract, and individual activations that we've had over the last few cycles. It does bring this opportunity to be able to sit still and concentrate. Although if you don't have that gate 9 in your design, that trait of focus in the sacral center, could be a little bit of frustration with that uncertainty of what to focus on. Just be patient. It also brings a more critical nature that's built into the logic circuitry, this wanting to perfect. So just watch the perfectionist, the inner perfectionist, if that's getting out of control, and watch that it's not turning into a kind of unhealthy self-criticism. Remember that the pressure to correct is there, but if you don't have the awareness of gate 18, that trait of correction in the splenic center on what needs to be corrected, it's just speculation. You could end up wasting energy on that speculation and spreading yourself too thin. So just watch for that. Logic cycles are also always great for future planning activities. The logic circuitry is looking to the future. So if you've got something you have to plan, this cycle could be helpful for that. Things that require concentration and practice. All right, have a great cycle. Be kind to one another, and may you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.